Hi there, I'm Kimberly and we are back for another Q&A Thursday. So glad that we can be together. I sincerely appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to join us for this Q&A Thursday. This is your place to get your questions answered about parenting, doing school from home, working from home, the right words to say to your kids in the situation that you're facing, whatever those questions are, let's get an answer for them. And I just want you to know from my heart to your home that I hope that you feel that this is a safe place where you can ask your questions. I've been at the place before where I didn't know who to ask my questions to, and it's a really lonely feeling. You have this question, but you don't want judgment, you don't want criticism, and I want to be that safe place for you to get your questions answered. So I'm glad that you've joined us. Now, if you have missed any of our other Q&A Thursdays, you can go to speaklifebadges.com and check out our resources tab, and then you will find Q&A Thursday, and you can just binge listen to all the other and binge watch all the other Q&A Thursdays. Maybe while you're doing dishes you can put those on and you can have a listen. Hi Mandy, thanks for hopping on. I've been thinking about you today, actually. Glad you're here. So we want to dive into the thought of how do we get our kids to stop arguing. So let's jump in, but before we get to the first question, I just wanted to mention that in terms of getting our kids to stop arguing, I know you're not going to want to hear this, but there really isn't a quick fix. I mean, we could shout, we can send them to their bedroom, we can break up the argument, which we have all done, right? And that's okay. But I want to encourage you that really to help our kids to stop arguing, we need intentional, consistent effort and sticking with it. So if you have listened to this past Tuesday's At Home with the Kids episode, you can see it on Speak Life Badges Facebook page. But At Home with the Kids, I also shared some tips about how to get your kids to stop arguing. And I mentioned in there that during this time that we've been spending at home, we have been really blessed and been having lots of fun because we haven't had the arguing that we could have. And I say that because I want to give you hope, because Andrew and I have been really intentional. We wanted our home to be a place where there was not a lot of arguing between our kids. And so we are reaping the fruit of that. And I just want to give you hope and encouragement, because that can be the story for your home too. If you're willing to listen in on these suggestions I have for you, and you're willing to give them a try and be consistent and intentional with them, I believe that you can enjoy your home and not have all of the arguing with your kids. So let's jump in. Let's dive into our first question. How do you deal with arguing children? That includes full-out arguments with each other, squabbling children that constantly nitpick each other, and just all around don't get along. I know sometimes they just need a break from each other. That's from Carolyn, and I say a big yes. Carolyn, you are totally right. We sometimes just need a break from each other, and that's been a little challenging during these last few months when we've been staying at home. So here's a few suggestions for you. Make individual quiet time for each of your kids. So every day, maybe it's mid-afternoon, maybe it's early evening just before dinner. Each child, each family member, and you mom, you dad, you get to have a quiet time. Everybody goes to their own spot in the house. Maybe they're coloring, maybe they're quietly reading a book, maybe they're taking a nap, whatever it may be, but no interruptions, quiet time to yourself, and you have that alone time. I would love to hear in the comments if you are already having that quiet time alone each day in the house and how that's working for you. But that's a good suggestion. Another one is to pre-game your children with a Speak Life badge before the argument breaks out. So maybe at the beginning of the day, let's say that you have a child who really struggles with sharing a toy. So before the day even starts, and before there's any toy, fights, you can give them a Speak Life badge. So there's this in I Am Special, it says I share, and you can say to your child, I am super excited for all that this day has for us, and I believe in you to share your toys with your brother or with your sister. When your brother or your sister wants to play with the toy that you're playing with, how are you going to share? So then you're asking them the question, so you're getting their ideas, they're making a plan on how they're going to share their toys, and then you say, may I give you this sticker award that says I share because I believe in you to share your toys today. You are already giving them your expectations, you're seeding that thought in their mind, hey, yeah, I'm going to share my toys today. So try it with your Speak Life badge. Oh, it's your quiet time right now, Mandy. Way to go. What's everybody doing? All right. So those are my suggestions for that. And then I Am Special, I mentioned, includes I share and I forgive. It also includes the sticker awards that say I am kind and I am loving. So those can help you with your arguing children. Also, I Am Priceless includes I am honoring, I put others first, I walk in love, and I'm self-controlled. So you can consider giving those awards when you have arguing in your home. Okay, so when an argument breaks out, they're shouting, they're crying, they're hitting each other, and you go to break it up. I encourage you to do that when everyone's calm, but here's what you can ask them. How did you dishonor your sister? Or how did you dishonor your brother? Okay, everyone's calmed down, and you ask, how did you dishonor your brother? How did you dishonor your sister? So the reason that you're asking that is because you don't want to say, what did you do? Okay, how did you, hurt them, right? What did she do to you? That automatically puts up the defense, the walls of defense, right? And that's how you get the he hit me, and then the did not, did too. So ask the question, how did you dishonor your sister? We know that it takes two to make an argument, and both need to take responsibility for their part in the argument. So that's what you're doing there when you're asking that question. You're getting them to take responsibility for their part. How did you dishonor your sister? And then you ask, how will you make it right? Again, both are responsible and both need to work to make it right. So ask that question. Now, I know you know this, but we need to encourage and to teach our kids that they reap what they sow. So if they sow or plant seeds of arguing, of dishonor, of grabbing toys from another child, being a bother, they're going to reap that. If the fruit of the harvest is that maybe they will have a nitpicky teacher, maybe they will have a bothersome classmate, maybe they will have an arguing spouse. Somehow it's going to show up because we reap what we sow. So you can teach them that in an easy way. Maybe you've already been planting a garden and you can tell them, okay, we put the seed in the soil and maybe that seed is arguing. Maybe that seed is grabbing the toy. Maybe that seed is, just that annoying, pestering, always, bothering each other. And so what fruit is going to grow from that? Is it going to be more arguing, more nitpicking? Maybe you can think back to a time, look back over your life and think of the times when you have sown, you have planted, think something, and then you've reaped it. So this is the time to teach our kids that they will reap what they sow. Okay, and the other thing I want you to just, a bigger thought than the frustrating moment of the arguing, is that we have to think of their future. And this is what has helped me the most, is to think about their future. I ask my kids, are you going to grow up to be one of those adults who is quick to get angry, who can't keep friends, and who can't work through their arguments? Of course they're going to say no. But then I can say, well, let's work together to learn how you can settle this argument together. It's our job as the mom, the dad, the grandparents to teach them how to be able to work through their arguments, their frustrations, their annoyances with each other, so that as they're adults, they can do the same thing. So that when they have a coworker that they can't get along with, when they have a boss that annoys them, when they have to deal with an argument with their spouse, they can handle that argument with care and with honoring each other. That's what this current frustrating moment when they're 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, they're a teenager, it is really about their future. Let's teach them now how to handle their arguments. Okay, so the great thing is that your home can be the safe place for them to learn how to handle, how to work through their arguments. And you can demonstrate that to them. You can teach them that safety, that safe place to learn this. All right, I hope that helps. Question number 2 is, how do you get kids to stop arguing without getting drawn into it with your own frustration or anger? I'm thinking of arguments that tend to be, yes, you did, no, I didn't, repeated over and over. I'm looking for options other than sending kids to their own room, because it seems to continue or start again when they're released from timeouts. Thank you, Cynthia, for that question. Now, before I give you some suggestions on this, I just want to make sure I say that everyone parents differently. You need to do what is right for you and your kids. And through the years, I've tried out some things and wow, that was a big failure. And other times it worked great. So I'm just giving you some suggestions of what we've done in our home. Take it, give it a try, or you can say, no thanks, I don't need that suggestion, okay? For us, in our home, we try as best as we can to deal with the situation, the argument, right away. We do not send our kids to their bedrooms or to a corner. For their bedrooms, I personally feel that there's just way too many distractions there, too many toys to play with. In the times where my oldest has stomped off to her bedroom angry with me, I have heard her in her room muttering, saying things, and I listen in and they're not the truth. They're lies that she's believing. And so that's the main reason that we don't send them to their room, is I don't want her there in her room alone believing lies that aren't true about our family or about the situation where we've had our argument. So we try as best as we can to deal with the hurt feelings, the anger, the frustration, the miscommunication right away. We communicate about it and we work through it so that we can keep peace in our home rather than letting the anger and the strife fester. So Cynthia, that could explain why when your children come back to the family after they've been in their room, the arguments or the dishonor begins again. It's because you've actually just sent the arguing away for a little while. You haven't really dealt with it in that moment. So I encourage you to try to deal with the situation then and there. Work to make it a culture in your home that when someone hurts or bothers or annoys or dishonors a brother or a sister with their words or with their actions, that you don't let it rest until they make it right. Keep short accounts. This keeps their hearts sensitive to others. I do encourage you to take time to calm down I know how frustrating it can be, and we can get angry ourselves. So how do you calm down? When my kids were really little, when they were too young to communicate their thoughts or their feelings, I would just hug them. Hugging seemed to dispel the anger. It also gave me a chance to calm down because I would hug them and I would pray and I would close my eyes and I would breathe. Right? And hugging them, just keep hugging them until they melted. And sometimes that was just like one, child and me, or sometimes it was a three-way hug, but we would just hug until they seemed to melt. That really worked for us for the big temper tantrums, just hugging. Sometimes we would all cry. Sometimes I would have them sit in a chair if I just needed a moment to calm down. I just needed to walk away. And then other times, even prior to the Speak Life badges that we have today, I had printed off a whole bunch of these award phrases on just an Avery Staples stickers that I had gotten. So I would have them say, I just need a moment to calm down, and I would go upstairs and I would get my stickers, and that gave me a chance to pray and think of the right words to say. That was when I was really practicing the scripts. So try that. I would also suggest to consider your posture. Now this is for me. I don't know if it will work for you, but when I am standing face to face, that face-to-face confrontation, especially now that my oldest is 10 and she's getting, to closer to my eye level height, I really feel like when there's that argument or instantly there's that wall of defense. So what I've been doing is just putting an arm around her, and we're not staring face to face. It seems to soften the moment, or we'll sit down side by side together. So maybe that will help to dispel some of the argument just by considering your posture. I encourage you to not shout across the room or across the yard or across the playground to break up an argument. Go to them, get on their eye level in a quiet, calm voice, work together to dispel the dispute. Okay, help them work through the fighting rather than shouting. It seems when we shout across a room, from the kitchen to the dining room, it just seems to escalate the atmosphere. So consider that as well. I hope that helps you, Cynthia. When everyone calms down, remember to ask, how did you dishonor your sister? Or how did you dishonor your brother? If the arguing is really persisting, you can calmly say, would you like to try that again, this time talking to your sister and to me with honor? Okay, would you like to try that again, this time talking to your brother and I with honor? I would love to know in your comments that who deals with the situation right away, and how does that help bring peace back to your home? And would you share that in the comments below? We are here to help each other out, so let us know. All right, here is question number 3. Do you have any techniques to use to transition from being really angry to calming down to give instructions? I struggle to find that anger just clings and is easy to lash out again. So that question is from Cynthia. First of all, Cynthia, I just want to say that you are already one step closer to winning at helping with dispel arguments in your home, because you're willing to admit that you have the tendency to lash out when an argument is in your house. And admitting it and knowing that that's something that you can work on is already a win. So I admire you for that. Now, some suggestions as to how you can really calm down and to give the instructions. I would make a plan. Take some quiet time alone yourself to make a plan. What will you do the next time an argument breaks out in your house? Make a plan. What will you say? How will you respond? Who? What kind of mom? Who as a mom do you want to be in that moment when the argument breaks out? It's okay to acknowledge that you get frustrated and that you're really upset right now. Just go into the next moment with a plan as to how you are going to handle it, okay? You are an amazing mom, Cynthia. Step into the argument calmly, okay? Unless they're being dangerous, unless they're really attacking each other, life is on the line. Pause for a moment and give yourself a chance to calm down. There are many times an argument's breaking out in the living room and I'd stay in the kitchen just a little bit longer. I'd listen. Okay, what's really going on here? I would get calm. How can I handle it? What's the words I can say? What's a Speak Life badge that I can give in this moment? Okay, so take some time to do that. Calm yourself first. We cannot correct our children with the same wrong behavior that we're telling them not to do. That was a big one for me. We cannot correct our children with the same wrong behavior that we're telling them not to do. If you don't want them to shout, if you don't want them to argue, if you don't want them to misuse their words with each other, then we can't either. Our kids mirror us. If we approach them with the, what's going on? Who did what? I knew it would be you who's causing all the trouble here. If we come to them with that way, that's that wall of defense instantly. That's the no, I didn't, yes, you did, and that's not what's going to help in the situation. So don't attack. Stop and ask yourself, am I misunderstanding them? What is really going on here? Who really wants their own way? And I just want to encourage you in this, is that they're not out to get you. It's not attack against you as their mom or their dad. They don't mean to make you upset. They just want their own way. They just want the last cookie. They just want the swing for themselves. They just want the toy for themselves. But remember that honoring each other is more important than getting what they want. That's the culture that we need to make in our home. Honoring each other is more important than getting what we want. A big eye-opener for me is when I overhear the conversations of my kids and I overhear their arguments and their quick tempers and the words they say and their tone of voice, and I say, oh, where did they learn that from? Do I sound like that? Did I teach them that with my behavior? When I recommit, okay, I want to stay calm and I want to handle this argument properly. I recommit again and again to watch myself and to be self-controlled in how I behave and to stay calm. So, I do want to mention an additional resource for you, which I hope will help. In the I Am Priceless book, there is a section under I Am Self-Controlled, and it shares what to do when your kids do not have self-control. If self-control isn't chosen, if you want to help them choose self-control over the anger, there's some suggestions and specific words that you can try saying to your kids to help them. How they can watch their words when they're angry, and how they can have a plan for what they're going to do when they feel angry again. The same thing that I suggested to you, we can encourage our kids with. Now, as we wind down this Q&A Thursday, I tell my kids again and again that we are a family. We are a team. We fight for each other, not against. This is not who you are. You have a heart to share. You have a heart that thinks of your sibling as more important than yourself. If you want it, this is the example of sharing. If you want it, you think, how can I share this toy and play with it also? So if you have any other questions, or if you have some real situations, maybe you've had even experienced this morning in your house, an argument that broke out, and you want some suggestions as to the words that you can say to your kids to help in that argument, I am more than happy to help. You are welcome to email me, Kimberly@speaklifebadges.com, or you can share it in the comments below. I want peace and joy and fun to be in your home, to thrive in your home, not arguing children. be consistent, stay calm, make your plan as to how you're going to respond the next time, who you're going to be as a mom, a dad, as a grandparent. We want your help too in helping our kids to stop their arguing. And remember, it's about their future. What can I teach them in this frustrating moment so that when they are an adult, they can work through an argument and win? Take care.